Hello, Posh Packers. It's Rebecca from Posh Packers, and today I wanted to tell you about one of the ways that we find traveling to be super easy, super convenient, super luxury, and actually can be a very well priced, well thought out plan of action to get yourself from one continent to another, such as Australia. So Australia being so far away and isolated from everything else, and I guess New Zealand as well, we could talk about both Australia and New Zealand in this case. The only way that you can get out of this country is two options. One is to fly and one is to sail. Now, we are taking a journey on the 28th, and we're going to be sailing from Australia to Southampton in the UK, and we're going on a cruise ship. Now, cruise ship, I always think, oh gosh, I like to say we're going on a sailing adventure because it sounds so much more exciting. However, no, we are not doing that. We are going on a cruise ship, and I'm going to tell you the reasons why we choose to use a cruise ship as a means of transportation. So we treat cruise ships like buses. A cruise ship is not a lifetime vacation for us. It's not a super special event. It's not something that we have been saving up for years and years and we're going to go and celebrate and have this wonderful time. Although we will have a wonderful time, of course, but it's not a bucket list item. It's not a lot of people save up for that one special event. Well, no, we're treating it like a bus, and these are the reasons we treat it like a bus. So we always choose the cheapest cabin we can find. There's no luxury about it unless we happen to get upgraded. And the only time we've ever been upgraded was to get a window. And even that was a bit of an obstructed view. Anyway, so we don't mind paying, well, we love paying as little as possible to get an inside cabin with, fingers crossed that you might get an upgrade. So we always choose the cheapest cabin, and here are the reasons why. Cheapest cabin, you will get all the same food, all the same activities, all the same lectures, all the same blah, 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 as what the people in the top selling cabins will pay. Now, to be honest, they will get additional luxuries, right? They will definitely get additional luxuries. However, if they choose to just participate in all the events that are on a cruise ship, they're getting the same as what we are. They're getting the same space, bar a little bit more. So they're going to get a room that's bigger. They might have be able to go to a I'm losing my words here, to an exclusive type of area where you go and sit out on your sun chair and you might get offered drinks and all that. So, that part is a little bit la-di-da, but for by and large, they're getting the same thing. So we're paying a minuscule amount compared to what they're paying to get a drink served to them because, they can't possibly walk up to the bar and get it themselves, or to lounge around in the sun area. That's a little more exclusive. It doesn't have kids running around it and that sort of thing. Well, for us, we don't do that anyway, so it's no big deal. And the space, well, you don't really need a great big room when you've got the whole cruise ship to walk around in. And sure, if I got upgraded to one of those luxury cabins, I would be very happy. It would be super nice to be able to experience that. However, for the money, I am not prepared to buy it. So we buy the super cheap cabin, or as cheap as we can. And so this one we're going on is going to take us about 59 days, okay? It's almost 2 months. So we arrive on the 27th of April. So it's literally 2 months. And so you take the whole price and you divide it by the nights that you are going on. And then you work out for yourself, and everyone will have a different priority on the value of what they're prepared to pay as a nightly or a daily rate for what they're getting. And so obviously we want to get it as cheap as possible. Now, I do believe that we have paid a little bit more for this one. We agreed that this was a cruise line that we wanted to try. It was a ship that we wanted to try, and the route especially is one that we wanted to do because we haven't done this route before. So they are a couple of the factors that we took into account. So we agreed that the price we saw it at and paid for it was a fair price. So when you consider how much it is to get a hotel room in any given place in the world these days, and how much you're going to spend on food on any given day, and then any activities that you might participate in, and the fact that you are going to other countries along the way, you take into all that account and you go, okay, this is a price I'm prepared to pay for that. And if you get the bargain basement cabin like we have, we've actually been upgraded. I don't know, like it's not an upgrade in the sense that it's going to be totally bigger or anything like that. They have different categories in the cheapos, and we've gone from a 1E to a 1B. Now, I don't know what that means. It might mean it's like a square inch bigger or something. I don't know what it is. However, so yeah, take that into account, your daily rate. So if you're prepared to pay, $70 US a day or $100 US a day, because it's usually in US dollars. But you can convert it to your own currency, of course, just to make more sense for yourself. Anyway, so you do that, and then you go, okay, I'm prepared to pay that. And so that's what we've done. So really, I can tell you from having just spent 3 years and spending a lot of money on hotels, you're not really going to get much for $100 Australian, right? If you're in Europe, if you're getting $100 a night for a hotel, you're getting a bargain. Really. Like I just had to pay for 3 nights in York. I think it was like 600 Aussie dollars, okay, just for 3 nights in York in a guest house, okay. So accommodation is always your biggest expense. It's a huge expense. So this is why cruise ship is quite often a really good way to travel. Now, cruise ship means that you obviously have to have the time to do this, and we have the time. So I can't remember how much it's going to cost. I think it is a bit over $100 a night. It might be about 120. It could even be 150. But we decided that price was okay. And so this is what you do, and you treat it like a bus, okay? When you get on the cruise ship, you don't buy any additional extra things that they will try and talk you into buying. Now, these cruise ships now have restaurants that you can pay money for. So they give you a dining room experience, which is included in your price. They also give you a buffet experience, which is included in your price. And that is usually breakfast, lunch and dinner, and afternoon tea. All right, so you can eat all day. You can eat all day. You're never going to go hungry on a cruise ship, but they will have restaurants that you can pay extra money for. So they might have a Japanese restaurant, or they might have a steakhouse, right? And these are going to be optional extras that you can pay for. Don't waste your money. You do not need to go to those, okay? You're stupid. You're literally stupid if you are forking out extra money for literally the same food. Okay, it's going to be Japanese. So what? Like, do you really need to eat Japanese food at extra cost? If you're thinking about saving money, no, you don't need to eat Japanese food. And you will be offered steak in the dining room more often than not. You will be offered steak, so you don't need to go and pay extra for it. Just keep that money in your purse. Don't be silly. Now, they offer drinks packages, and the drinks packages will include things like coffees, and it will include soft drinks and juices, and it will include obviously alcohol and different levels of alcohol. So it might be just wine, or it can go right up to top shelf spirits. Don't be tempted, okay? If you're doing this as a way of saving money, all right, this is not for the person that wants to go on an extravagant holiday and it's a once in a lifetime thing. I'm talking about using it like a bus, all right? A cheaper way for you to travel continents. Don't take up the drinks package. It's going to cost you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, right? It literally adds so much money to your bill. do not be tempted to do it. Now, the way you can get around it, like this is what we've found, okay? We like to have a drink like anyone else, right? However, we often use cruises as a bit of an alcohol detox because we typically don't drink much when we go on a cruise. If we do want to drink, we just pay for that individual drink at a bar, at one of the bars on the ship. I think maybe once or twice we've bought a bottle of wine. And to be fair, my husband reckons that the prices are reasonable if you buy it per drink. Like if you buy a beer, he likes to have a beer. It's fairly equivalent to what he would pay in an Australian bar. And he goes, okay, I'm prepared to pay that. But when you buy a drinks package, it's going to cost you, because they're averaging it out on X amount of drinks a person will have a day. And they're including the top shelf and all that sort of stuff. And you can't, well, unless you're an alcoholic, you can't drink that many drinks a day. Like you're paying for something that you're not going to use. And it is very expensive. It really, really is expensive. So just take my advice on that. Now, the other thing you can do if you're a little bit cheeky, and we are known to be quite cheeky, when you go ashore, you can buy alcohol. However, keep this in mind. If you go through ship security when you get to a port, which means that the security is on the ship, right? They're going to scan your stuff when you come back onto the ship. You cannot bring alcohol. Well, that's not entirely true. You can bring alcohol back on board, and there are two options when you bring the alcohol back on board. Number one is that they will take it off you and store it until the end of the cruise, and then you take it, because you might find a bottle of wine, you think, or a bottle of scotch or something, you think, oh, that's a bargain price, I can't get it for that price at home, I'll buy it in Trinidad or bloody Alaska or somewhere like that. And so they will store it for you, and they'll give it back to you at the end of the cruise. The second option is that you can take it on board, and they will charge you a corkage fee to be able to drink that bottle of whatever you have bought. So that's fair enough, okay? So you can do that. Now, if you go to a port and there's no ship security and it's port security, right, which means that they're going to scan your stuff on the land and then you're just going to get back on the ship, right? No security on the ship. You can put some contraband alcohol into your backpack, right? And the port people, they don't care. They don't care what you take back on the ship. They couldn't give a shit. Like, they literally do not even look at your stuff, right? I'd be even surprised if they care if you took drugs. But, we're talking alcohol here. The odd bottle of wine. We're not talking about trying to load up your backpack with, a dozen bottles of scotch or something. We're talking about a bottle of wine that you might want to enjoy over the next day or two. Anyway, so that's a way you can get around it. That is a way that you can get around it. So just keep that in mind. You need to know if it's ship security or port security. I shouldn't even be telling you this, should I? Secrets of the cruises that work these things out. No one told us this. We just worked it out. So yes, that's how you can do it. Or if you're absolutely desperate, we had a friend who actually poured the wine that they bought into a drink bottle, a flask type of thing, and put it in their backpack, and they didn't do anything. But yeah, I wouldn't do it that way. I'll just wait till it's a ship security, it's a port day security, and a lot of ports are like that. So that's a way of saving money. Okay, so that's one thing to remember. So when you get off on your port days, don't buy your food out there. Use the ship's food that you've already paid for, okay? Now, I'm just giving you tips and tricks. Like, this is tips and tricks about how you can travel cheaply. If you want to go and buy your food once you get ashore, that's fine, but you're not going to be saving money. You've already paid for that food. So what we generally do is we go out early of a morning. We spend a few hours out, unless it's some sort of shore excursion that's going to take us out all day, but we will go out for a few hours. We come back when we're hungry, and then we go out again. It's the easiest and most sensible and frugal way to utilize the ship and its food and what you've already paid for. don't get caught up. Now, we're not gamblers, so we don't have a problem with this. They have casinos on board, and they also have these bingo games and things like that. We never participate in those because they all cost money, of course. Now, gambling, if you're a gambler, well, that's your choice. We just don't go to casinos. But this bingo thing, it's easy to get caught up in that sort of thing because, you know, you can win cruises and you can win money and all this sort of stuff. And obviously you've got to pay for these games to play, this bingo game thing to go and play. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Go and swim in the pool or read a book or go for a walk or go to the gym, draw a picture, do a crossword. Go and eat, do everything but spend money on the ship. They also have activities like they'll have wine tastings or beer tastings or gin tastings and things like that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. They'll also, some ships, now this is a new thing, I think. They will do ship tours. So they'll take you into the bowels of the ship and they'll take you up into the can't even think of the word, it'll come to me, but they'll take you all over the ship. And yeah, I'm sure we used to do it for free, but now you got to pay for it. You know, there's a word they use in this cruising industry. It's called nickel and diming. They're trying to get every nickel and every dime out of you. And you have to be strong and sensible. And remember, it's a bus tour. It's a bus tour taking you from A to B with all your food included and your luxury accommodation that you know where it is every night, and with your shows and entertainment that you have paid for. If you are paying extra, then you're not using it like a bus and they are taking you for a ride. Don't get caught up in their little shop sales. Oh no, they're going to test you and tempt you with bargains from their little shops that they have, their little shopping arcade, to buy t-shirts or, you know, two for the price of one, or, you know, special things that they have. Don't be tempted, right? Just don't be tempted. Don't do it, okay? Now, what you should be able to do is what we do. You should be able to do this. If you are strong-minded and your bottom line matters, this is what will happen. You will pay for your cruise up front like we do, right? The money's already gone. The cruise goes for 2 months. So over those 2 months, we'll be saving money. We won't be spending any money. And we get 2 months down the track and we go, oh, look at our bank account. It's looking rather healthy. This is what you do if you want to be frugal and you want to move from one continent to another and you want to use a cruise ship like a bus. It's perfect, but you have to be strong and not get caught up in the consumerism and not get caught up in the giddy moment. Oh, and the other thing, okay, I'm going to confess something here. They have art galleries on board, and the art people are really quite interesting with their lectures that they do on certain artists. But when you've been on quite a few cruises, they represent certain artists and they'll just talk about those artists, right? And after you've done a few cruises, you'll have heard a lot of the lectures. Now, they will talk about investment art, and you might be tempted to buy some of the art, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you really like a piece of art and you want it as a memento from your trip, blah, 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 you might get tempted to buy something. And I'm afraid to say we got tempted. We got more than tempted. We handed over large sums of money for what we anticipated was going to be an investment piece of art, and we consciously chose to do that. Is what I'm saying is that we've been on many cruises and we've only done it once. We've only bought a piece of art once, and I will talk about that piece of art in relation to the problems when you have stuff in a different video. Now, the other thing too, this is another good thing. These are the little tips and tricks. So the art gallery will have special viewings and special lectures. Now, if you've opted not to take the drinks package and you've opted not to buy any alcohol, they will have nights where they serve champagne. So if you're looking for a drink, That's when you go to the art gallery lectures and you sip on your champagne and listen to them talk, and you can have a glass or two of champagne if you are desperate. They will also have a few events, and it also depends what status you are on your cruising. So perhaps if you're a first time cruiser, you won't get this, but when you've been a few times, you'll start to know the drill and you start to get a little bit of status. You'll be invited to the captain's party for cocktails and you'll get free cocktails. So whenever you got to scan the program they give you, if you're desperate for a drink, you look for the events that have the free champagne or a free cocktail. That's what we do. So you got to make this work for you. You got to make it work for you the best way you can. What other tips and tricks? Oh, so a lot of cruise ships, particularly the American cruise ships, and this is not so relevant these days with the British ships or Australian ships, they will charge you gratuities. Okay, so you're paying a gratuity each day, and it's actually quite expensive. So rookie cruisers will come out of this with a bill. So over 60 days for two people, it could be $50 each, right? $50. So you're going to add potentially thousands of dollars to your bill. So when you get on the cruise ship, the first thing you do is you go to reception and you say, I would like to have the gratuities removed from my account, please. Now, every cruise ship or cruise line does it differently. So some might get you to fill out a form and they'll fix it up immediately. Another cruise ship might say you need to come back within 72 hours of disembarking at the end of the cruise, and we'll take the gratuities off then. But you need to find out, because this will literally add double the price of what you paid for your cruise. Now, Australians don't tip. We do not pay gratuities. We are tight, we are frugal, and we do not pay gratuities. Brits also are more or less like Aussies, where Americans love to hand over their hard-earned money to other people, even though they've already paid for the cruise. Christ knows why. I have no idea why they fight to pay these gratuities, and they can do it, but Australians don't do it. So if you get on an American ship, like your Carnival, your Norwegian, Holland America, all of those, Royal Caribbean, if you don't want to pay the gratuities, you need to go and tell reception straight away. Now, you always have the option to give your cabin stewards or your restaurant server or anyone else that you think has done a good job for you, you can give them a tip. You can just personally slip them a 20 or a 50 or 100 or whatever you want to give them, okay? It's entirely up to you. But if you want to save money on a cruise ship, and they say they're obligatory, but they're not, okay? They cannot make you pay gratuities. They make it sound as though you have to pay, but you don't. So always, first thing you do when you get on the ship is go and find out what the liability of the gratuities are, decide how you want to handle it, whether you want to pay them or not. Preferential is to have them wiped off your bill. And if you find that you have a good server or a good, cabin steward or just a crew member that you like and you want to honor them for their service, then you can do it personally, okay? That's the best way to handle it. Don't let the cruise ship take your hard-earned money. So that's another tip. I think I've given you all the tips. And just with the cruise, if you have the time and you don't mind missing out, then there's a really good website called Vacations to Go that I use, and another one is called Cruise Direct, and they seem to have pretty good prices, and you just scan them all the time. So you might earmark a cruise and go, yeah, this is one I want to do. And this happened to us. We earmarked a cruise and we said, yep, but we were prepared to miss out. So it wasn't urgent that we had to be on that cruise. We were waiting because prices fluctuate. They don't always go down. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down, and they can even go increasingly higher closer towards the actual sail date. So this is why I say have in mind a price that you are prepared to pay on a daily basis. And that way, when you look at the prices, you can go, okay, I'm prepared to pay that. Let's lock it in now. And yes, that price might go down and that's annoying. But if you think you have like what is a fair price, then you won't be disappointed, all right? Because you've already agreed that, okay, that's a fair price to pay. So that's the way to do it. And yeah, just keep an eye out, scan every website possible, because you'll be surprised at the difference in prices. Look at it in US dollars, look at it in British pounds, and look at it in Aussie dollars, okay? We sometimes use British sites, and you kind of got to trick them, right? Use a VPN as well to look at different prices. Sometimes you might have to make some phone calls. We use an address in England. So yeah, if you know people that live overseas and you can use their addresses, if it means you're going to get a cheaper price, then do so, because the prices can vary. So I think that's all my tips and tricks. You can take as much luggage as you want. Okay, that's another thing. And the reason that we like cruising as well is it's super simple. The customs, immigration is always really easy. You can take as much luggage as you want, right? It's not like an airplane where you're limited to 20 kilos or 23 kilos. You can take as much or as little as you want. And so cruising is a really good option if you don't like flying or you can't fly, because there's only 2 ways to get out of Australia. And the other thing too, with leaving Australia on a cruise ship to head towards Europe or England, and sometimes even America, because quite often they will go by Singapore, is that they don't leave all year round. So keep this in mind. They usually leave in the first part of the year. So January, February, March, particularly February and March seem to be the more popular time slots. There's not a lot of cruises that actually leave Australia. So keep that in mind. They do leave. Sometimes you might have to, and it depends where you want to go. So, I mean, you might be aiming to get to, say, America, but you might, and this is if you've got the time, of course, and the means to do it. You might have to go via Japan and then get something from Japan to Vancouver, and then get to Vancouver. From Vancouver, you get to America. So and we've done that before, this sort of roundabout way of getting places, because they don't always go direct. So keep that in mind when you're looking for a cruise. Once you get to England, once you get to America, once you get to Europe, there's bloody thousands of cruises, like thousands of cruises that you can choose from. But unfortunately, there's not that many that leave Australia for the Northern Hemisphere. And you gotta get them while you can, if that's the way you want to do it. But cruising is definitely a very good option if you've got the time to spend and looking for an easy, stress-free way to travel, something that's going to keep you entertained, something where you're not going to have to worry about where you're putting your head that night. You're going to get fed more than you can eat. Lots of activities to do, and plenty to, you can walk, you can go to the gym, you can swim, you can do all sorts of things. So that is one of the ways that we travel the world to get us from A to B. Use a cruise ship like a bus. Got any questions? Feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer. And yeah, consider cruising for your next holiday, your next way of getting out of Australia. That's it for now.